Hello everyone! We are in the third oldest town of Tennessee, Parrotsville, and right behind me you will see the library. They are home to the cutest library in the world. Look how adorable that is. It's a cute little stone building that's very old, and we're gonna go inside and see what kind of cookbooks we can find. Now, the librarian here was telling me that this little building used to be the home ec building for the high school over 100 years ago. And she was telling me that there's the library right there, and here is the fire department, and then they've got the post office over there. The elementary school and the high school used to be where these buildings are right now. Alright, as you can see, we've got quite a few cookbooks in this little building. We have tons of subjects, and I thought the cookbooks was just on this little row right here, but I was wrong. We actually have quite a few on this shelving unit right here, so we've got a little bit of we got some work cut out for us. Let's see, let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some of the ones that I think are really interesting, and then we'll go ahead and choose from the pile. Oh, there's one that looks familiar. I already have this one, and we need to cook something out of it because I'm sure that would be really good. That looks really good. Huh, what's this one? Early American Cookbook. That could be really interesting too. Let's hang on to this one. Oh, we've got several little treasures here. Oh, we know this one's really good. Ooh, this one looks really good. This one might be a really good one to try. Okay, I'm kind of torn between these three. Just don't know what I want to pick for the channel. They both, or all of them, look really good. This one is really intriguing me though. So let's go ahead, let's get this one definitely. I'm thinking, I don't know, let's look at this one. This one's kind of intriguing me too. So let's go ahead and definitely take a look at these, and we'll see what we can cook out of them. This is so cute. This is the children's and the young adult section of the library. They've got their own little reading nook in here. This is adorable. I would have loved this as a kid. I just wanted to show you these really quick. Look at these little children's cookbooks. These are in the children's section so that the kids can have something to choose from and cook for themselves. Alright, it's been a couple of days and I think I've settled on a recipe, but I'm pretty sure it's also going to be a messy one. So once we get this started, we're going to have to move quickly in the kitchen. Also, I have a few thoughts about this particular cookbook, but I will not get into that right now. First, let's go ahead and at least get things in the oven and get it ready. That way we can go ahead and talk about kind of the pros and cons of this kind of cookbook. Now I've got everything out and ready. According to this cookbook, you actually need to salt your chicken breast and put them in a glass dishware and leave it in your refrigerator overnight. So that's what I did, and I just pulled it out. I'm letting it get to room temperature before we actually start cooking it and doing our extra steps. I've got my okra. We're going to get that ready for some good old deep frying. I've got my messy peanut butter waiting for our gravy. All right, I've got my oil hot. We're going to go ahead and put the chicken breast in there. We're not going to finish cooking in the skillet though. This is just going to be kind of to get the skin crispy. So we're going to go ahead and start that process. And after we've done that, it's actually going to go into another baking dish and then finish cooking in the oven. Now, while that's going, we're going to go ahead and prep our okra. So you see I've turned my chicken over, I'm doing the other side, but I saw something that I misread in the recipe. We do not need this pan. We're just going to take this thyme, sprinkle it over the chicken into the pan, and pop this whole thing right into the oven. So I did run into one little problem. I've got my okra ready and then realized I don't have any frying oil like canola or vegetable oil. So I kind of had to make a little bit of a concoction. There's a little bit of olive oil and a whole lot of Crisco. So I had to wait for that to kind of melt down and get hot. And I think we are now ready to start frying. I'm actually going to test a little bit. Yeah, I think that's ready. I think we can go ahead and add our first batch in there. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to start frying this in batches. I'm going to use this that I was going to put the chicken in, just kind of put my okra in there to drain, because we will then season with salt and pepper again after you've pulled it out. So let's go ahead and start and hope for the best. All right, I am on my next to last batch with this marathon of frying. Naturally it doesn't look like his, but does it ever look like the professional chef? So I've just been taking these out in this is probably about my third time that I've fried a batch, third or fourth time. And each time I'm just laying them in here and then I sprinkle them with a little bit of salt and pepper just to get a little extra seasoning on them, as okra doesn't really taste like a whole lot. So you're kind of relying on your batter. All right, we've got one more. We're gonna get that to frying and then we can check our chicken and hopefully start on that gravy. And while we're waiting for our meal to be ready, let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of this cookbook and then talk about what I did and did not like about some of the recipes. Now, this cookbook concentrates only on the southern United States and their food. And it's a beautifully laid out cookbook. It's got gorgeous photographs. It's really organized. It gives you all kinds of tips and helpful hints on all different kinds of cooking. And the recipes do seem very interesting. And he does a good job in including all the regions of the South. So you have coastal food and you have landlocked food. Now, another thing I enjoyed about this cookbook is the fact that it gives you lots of new and interesting ideas to kind of elevate some of these traditional Southern dishes that you may have made in the past or have wanted to try. But here is what I did not enjoy about this cookbook. Now, one thing that I did notice, and this isn't a pro or a con necessarily, I think it's just something to keep in mind. I would call this a summer cookbook because there's lots of different kinds of vegetables that really are only ripe in the South in the summer. So we're talking tomatoes and garlic ramps and watermelon, things that really doesn't taste too good in the winter. And so this is a cookbook that you probably would only pull out when your garden is ready or that farmer's market is open. And another reason I say that is because a lot of his recipes are grilled. So if you don't have an indoor grill, you're kind of stuck, trying to do these recipes on your stovetop, which is not going to give you the same taste. You can really tell that this cookbook is done by a professional chef and someone who loves to cook and pours his heart and soul into it. Now, does that necessarily mean that this is a great cookbook for the everyday person that just wants to cook dinner after they get off of work? No, I wouldn't say that that's this kind of cookbook, but I would say that if you go into it knowing that you may have to make some concessions in how you make some of the food, and for some of them you may have to wait until summer ripens those beautiful tomatoes and wonderful watermelons, and that some of the dishes requires quite a few steps and some extra effort on your part, then I think that this is a cookbook that you would enjoy looking at as long as you don't mind those concessions. And there you go. There is my review of South. Overall, I did enjoy this cookbook, but it's probably not something that I will add to my collection because it doesn't fit my lifestyle at this time. However, it was fun to look through and I did get some ideas out of it, and so I'm absolutely not upset that I checked this out from the library and tried some dishes out of it. And while we're waiting for food to cook, I wanted to show you this free resource that's something you can also get at your library. This is called Libby. Now, some of you may already have this, and some of you may have never heard about this. I heard about it a few months ago, and I so wish I would have known about it sooner. Libby is a free to download and free to use app that you can put on your Kindle, other e-reader, or best of all, even your smartphone. Now, what this means is that if you have just one library card, you can sign up for Libby with that library card and get access to thousands of ebooks and audiobooks. Now, each state operates a little bit differently, but because I live in Tennessee, I can be part of the Tennessee Reads program on Libby. And with just one Tennessee library card, I have access to my entire state's library's catalog of ebooks and audiobooks. You can also look for magazines, which if you see right here, you can actually borrow all kinds of cooking magazines, including Taste of Home. You see here, all you have to do is hit borrow, and with your library card, you have access to that magazine. Now, if you don't want to borrow it just yet, you can also just read a sample to see if it's something that you would even want to look at. And the Libby app is its own reader, so you don't have to download a separate app just to look at it or read it. And you can see here, I'm looking at the sample. It looks pretty good. Actually, it looks really good. So this is something that I might just go ahead and borrow so I can get some really good recipes off of it. Now, all I did was type in America's right here, and because I had looked for these before, it popped up America's Test Kitchen right here. All I have to do is click on it, and I can see all of those cookbooks that all the Tennessee libraries have in their e-catalog. I can borrow any of these and see if I like them before I purchase them and save me some money. I absolutely love this resource, and I think this was a fantastic thing that our libraries have done. And if you would like to do this, you can go to your library and have the librarian set it up for you. That way they can give you the access and the PIN number and help you get started. Our chicken is finally done. So we're going to transfer that to a plate because we're going to need the grease in there to actually make the gravy. Now I also removed the thyme sprigs, and I picked this particular recipe because it has peanut butter in it. Now I've never heard of peanut butter gravy, especially one that's got lime juice, milk, chicken broth, a little bit of flour, and some onion. So this is going to be an interesting experiment to see if we're actually going to like this. All right, we're going to add our onion into our sizzling chicken grease. We're going to let this cook until the onion is fairly done. Then we're going to go ahead and add the rest of our ingredients. It certainly smells wonderful. I wish you could smell this. It's got a hint of thyme still in the skillet. It's got that wonderful rendered chicken fat. And then you add the onion, and oh my gosh, I could actually eat it like this. But we still have a few more ingredients to go. So let's go ahead and get that done. Next, we have our flour. We're going to cook this till it kind of takes on that golden color. And you can see we've already gotten it thickening up. So I think we're ready to go ahead and add our milk and our chicken stock. So we're going to slowly start adding our milk. Get that nice and thickened in there. We've got our chicken stock. You can see I'm letting it thicken up in between each step before I move on to the next one. And I would think that this right here would actually be a really good gravy all on its own. But now it's time to add our bizarre ingredients and hope that we kind of don't end up ruining it after all of this hard work. Now I went ahead and added the salt and pepper, and now I'm going to add the peanut butter. And now for the lime juice. Now I think this is a little odd, and I'm a little worried about it. But I have been very pleasantly surprised before, so I still have hope for this gravy. Okay, I'm a little worried. It looks a little sludgy. But we're gonna go ahead and try it anyway because, you know, sometimes looks are deceiving, and this could be the best tasting thing we've ever put in a skillet. So let's go ahead and plate up and finally try this thing after a long time in the kitchen. We are finally ready to try this. I'm burning up. There was a lot of cooking in this kitchen, and it has made this kitchen really warm. So it's a good thing that it's really cold outside. I would not recommend all of this on a hot summer day. Now, it's just gonna be me trying it. Mitch has been working so hard all day today, or most of the day. We've had plumbing problems, we've had washing machine problems, so he's been in repair mode. He is so tired. I'm just gonna give him a pass on this one, let him rest, and try this myself. So let's go ahead and do the okra first. I think that'll be the easiest thing to try, and we'll get an immediate reaction on that. Yeah, it's fried okra. It's not the best I've ever had. So this to me doesn't taste any different than any other homemade okra I've ever had, like from my grandmother, my great aunts, and my mom. So it tastes good. It's just not overwhelmingly good. Do you know what I mean? It's just, oh, fried okra, you know? So, not sure if it was worth all that work, but it is passable. Now let's get to the main event. What is this peanut butter gravy going to taste like? And is that going to be worth it? Because, not going to lie, on my plate, it doesn't look too appetizing, but I have high hopes for it. So let's go ahead and carve that chicken and try it. Alright, so I've got a sizable piece of chicken here with quite a bit of gravy and a mint leaf for good luck. Let's see how good this is. Okay, I am shocked. All the flavors really do actually meld together into a wonderful bite of food. I'm really surprised. I know you probably noticed me kind of hesitating to eat it because I was really expecting, I was thinking this could go either way. I had high hopes for it, and I was really, hoping all this work was worth it. But part of me really kind of didn't want to eat it either. But I'm so glad that I tried this because it's so surprisingly good. It just pulls the whole dish together. Something about that peanut butter with the mint leaves, and the chicken is so tender and juicy and good with such nice crispy skin and a juicy inside. It's really worth letting it kind of sit in your refrigerator for the 24 hours before you make this dish. That's the secret to that crispy skin. So, wow, okay. I am really, I'm glad that I tried it, but would I actually make this again? I'm going to say yes, I would, but I'd probably pick an easier side to make so you're not babysitting several different dishes all at one time. You might want to just make a simple salad to put with this instead of having to fry something while you're, making gravy and baking and frying chicken. But as far as the chicken itself, I do think this is worth making. So I am really surprised, glad I tried it, and I hope you try it too because it is really good. Now, as far as the cookbook, you heard my review on that already, so I'm not going to go into it again. I will say that this is something that I'm glad I got from the library instead of purchasing it, because now I know that the cookbook is really not going to fit my lifestyle and kind of what I need a cookbook to do. I feel like some of it is a little bit too complicated for how I want to cook, for my everyday dishes. So this isn't something that I would probably spend money on. However, if you can find this from the library, it is worth a look through and to glean some new techniques and some fresh ideas that maybe you want to punch up a couple of your dishes and put a little bit of extra time into a meal or two. So there you go. We had kind of a split review, I think. The okra, it's okra. The chicken and the peanut butter gravy surprised us with an awesome taste. So remember, you never know what kind of gems of some cookbooks and recipes that you can find in your library. It's always worth stopping by and checking that out. But as far as next month, we're going to leave the libraries and we're going to go back to my personal library and start reviewing some cookbooks that some viewers suggested from my bookshelf tour. And I hope you stay tuned for those viewer suggestions, because we're going to be looking at some vintage holiday cookbooks and everything in between. So thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.